Shut up and sit down.
Needless to say, I had to throw those underwear.
We can't say twat more than 10 times.
Twat, 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 twat.
Go to hell.
And you get to be the dictator. You get to be a dictator. You get a dictator.
Yeah,
That
I
fucking
know you do.
egg-sucking piece of shit.
No, or when you're interrupting, you bastard.
Wow.
We're gonna fight. We are gonna fight. I
It
mean,
was
if you
coming
think
to
shooting
theaters.
a cat is violence,
This is my last podcast with CriticalMass. What do you think, Dan? Do we have a good time?
no.
Critical Masturbators, get ready for part 2 of our 735-part religion episode. And, just get ready for some more ear pleasures. Thank you so much for listening to our quote-unquote sponsors.
By the way, just a quick PSA: if you're gonna cross streams, make sure that there's a lot of padding down.
Yeah, like puppy pads. I typically
Yeah.
buy the puppy pads
Right.
and I put those down. So, we were talking about...
I mean, I might as well.
we were talking
Is
about...
this opened or is this mine?
Oh my God, we're passing beers.
We're doing
still.
it again.
Doing it again.
Yeah.
So, oh God,
Just.
I hope you're not driving. We have Uber now.
My dad's an Uber driver.
I know your dad is.
It's just Corona Light. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
true.
are you kidding me?
That's true. So
I feel more sober now than when I started.
Right.
you're a fucking idiot. So I guess to finish what I was saying, like
Yep.
I don't have. I just continue to just not really have a belief system.
But your mom does not shun you.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
See, that's the thing I always found ironic was the acceptance you would read about in the Bible that Christ would literally go and sit with the sinners, right? Like he would go and actually be with those that were deemed lesser than, in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet, all throughout my quote-unquote Christianity, it was all about seclusion. Keep the non-believers away. And what's funny about that is, no matter what cult or religion, and it's funny, it's a thought that actually popped into my head that I never even really pieced all together until you said something just a few minutes ago, but isn't it that the more cultish it is, the more they say, don't talk about it?
Yeah,
Isn't that strange?
it is.
Right? It's like you're supposed to share your faith, but also like keep them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember times of like we can't go to the Penny Arcade back in the day
Oh,
to go
God.
play songs, even though they were allowing us to go there. And so that would have been a great, what we would have called witnessing opportunity to sing about Jesus in front of people. But we didn't go because they served alcohol. So we decided not to go to that place to reach out to people that were sinners.
Yeah.
So it was those kind of ironies, and that's, I don't mean to cut you off, but you were talking about the fact that your mom is okay with you and includes you and doesn't
Yeah.
love you less.
No.
Like, that is
Well,
awesome.
she loves him less. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
but that's just because in comparison to my brother.
Right.
I have friendships from back in the day that, like, if I saw some of these people today, I'd probably apologize to them because there's people I haven't talked to for 15 to 20 years because
Yeah.
of this. You know?
Yeah. Well,
So-
and the thing is with my family, like I was saying during the break, my dad's completely unreligious, completely. But my mom, and they're not together, but I don't want to say my mom is not very religious. You know what I mean? I mean, she's Roman Catholic, which automatically means you're not very religious. It's just annoying that I have such a, not really annoying, but I just have a tremendous amount of respect for my mother. And I think I hold her in a high regard in my life.
Sure.
But it's just like, why do you feel a need to go? But she always says that's how she was brought up. That's her thing. It's more tradition. I think it's more tradition for her than anything else. And she's never shunned me. I mean, she's not happy when I say things like, God isn't real. Jesus isn't real. My brother says the same shit. She's not really pleased. She's not like, well, yeah, those boys. It's just kind of like, okay, change the subject. And that's it. And I'm okay with that. You know
Well,
what
if
I mean?
you weren't someone to rock and roll, maybe you would believe.
Okay. Well, and what brings me to kind of like where I'm at right now in terms of my quote unquote faith or lack thereof. And, my brother and I get in arguments about this a lot because I've said my brother is a militant atheist.
Yeah.
He's just nothing.
He is.
There's nothing. There's nothing at all. Okay. I believe in, have you ever seen the documentary Religulous?
Religious.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm so glad
Bill
you answered
Maher.
that question because I forgot about. So we talked about Scientology during one of the
Yeah.
breaks. Scientologists don't allow their members to even access the internet. They keep them off of everything. You're not supposed to read about anything. You're not
my
supposed to
God.
try to gain knowledge. We are the knowledge and there is nothing else, right?
That's a
Religulous
cult.
was one of those things that when I was in the thick of it was like very looked down upon, obviously.
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I got into this documentary spin over the last 6 to 9 months where
Yeah.
that's all I've been really
Yeah.
enjoying and watching. And one day I'm like, shit, I'm running out of the good ones.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
you
That'll
start
happen.
watching them enough that you're like, I got to start watching some that
Timmy, the
you know,
wells
you wouldn't
run
really
dry.
recommend to somebody else, but
Yeah.
you're still learning something.
Yeah.
And you're bored, so you're like, oh, I'll check this out. Which, you know, that's more of like the Reels channel. The Jim Jones one I watched was
Yeah.
good. I watched one about, you know, the Beatles. I watched about Charles Manson, but some of them are like they got that really terrible acting in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
But you watch them because you're like, well, I didn't know this story before. So if I can get past the shitty acting, I can
Yeah, at
learn
least I can get the
something.
story out of it.
Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I type in like, you know, I'll Google something like top documentaries, top Netflix documentaries, Hulu, whatever. And I come across Religulous. And I was like, holy shit. All this time I've been watching all these documentaries after this change in my life.
And this is the
and
one.
I forgot about this one.
Yeah, this is
I
the
watched
one.
it like 3 months ago for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah,
great.
It was so
absolutely
good.
fantastic. But so in terms of my belief system, I have what I believe is called a healthy level of doubt, as what Bill Maher says. I don't have more information than you,
Yeah.
and you don't have more information than
Yes.
me. The way I
100%.
feel about myself is I'm no genius by
Yep.
by no definition. However, I do consider myself above average when it comes to intelligence.
Okay.
And but that doesn't mean if I'm above average intelligence and I can't answer the great mystery of the great beyond, then someone who hasn't graduated high school that tells me that Jesus is part of the great beyond doesn't have the answers more
Right,
than fucking
right.
I do.
Absolutely.
Period. You're toothless. You're stupid. Go
Yep.
back to your church. I don't believe anything you're saying. However, I actually
How did they become toothless like in teenage years? What happened there?
who knows? Okay. I don't know. Probably they watched MTV and their
much,
father
yep.
beat their face in.
Okay.
Beat the teeth out of them.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
All right. I accept that.
But I guess where I'm at is I hate using the term, but I feel like I'm more like if you have like a meter and one side of the meter is agnostic and one side of the meter is atheist, I'm more on the agnostic side.
Sure.
I do have a belief system that there is some type of higher power.
Yes.
However, I don't know what the higher power is.
Yep.
I don't give it a name.
Yep.
My biggest thing is I don't personify it.
Yep.
And another thing, it doesn't need any of my money.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't need my money, whatever it is. I feel that there is a cross between a higher power and science. These plants that grow, the reasons that we're here. I believe that there is a reason we're
Yeah.
here. But I feel that the reason is so beyond me that I'm not going to be able to define it. And anyone that feels like they can define it,
Yep.
it is arrogance and it is hubris. If you feel that you can define why we're here and I can't, then you're just an arrogant fuck. You don't have the answers more than I do. Nature is a beautiful thing within itself.
Yep.
The way we breathe oxygen and we give off carbon dioxide, and plants breathe carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. I see those are miracles to me. Not a angel coming down from heaven, which is all a bunch of bullshit.
So I got to be honest. I'm really excited as to where this is going because I thought maybe you were going to say you were more like your brother, and that's okay. I would never judge that, especially
Yeah.
at this point in my life. But I pretty much agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
I
Really, I do.
was
I
not
just-
listening. Could you repeat it?
You're such a piece of shit. You know that?
I know.
You know what? I think it's time to hear from Dan. Honestly, I think Dan needs
Yeah.
to tell us where he's
Uh-oh.
at with all of this.
Yeah, because Dan's been
Could we
Dan's
dim the
heard a
lights and
lot
get a
at this
spotlight on
he's
me?
been uncharacteristically quiet,
Quiet, yeah.
and he's a
Right.
he's
I
a
don't know. I've
huge
been
piece of
watching the
shit.
levels. There's a lot of me talking.
Go fuck yourself. Anyway, please continue.
I was born on a Monday.
All right, Solomon Grundy.
60 hours of labor. my mother went
60
through.
hours. There's a reason why your mother
6-0.
doesn't have any faith anymore.
No.
And you're what came out.
She probably went in on a fucking Friday and I came out on a Monday.
Yeah. Ugh.
She spent the entire weekend in the hospital trying to get me out.
Ugh.
It was too far for a C-section, so they're
Wasted
like,
an entire fucking weekend.
yeah, wasted on
You
me.
you
Well,
are
she
a
wasted
It
waste of
couldn't
a
be
weekend.
like Tuesday to Thursday. It
Let's
had
be
to
honest.
be.
She wasted more than a weekend on me.
Anyway, please.
I came out on a Monday. It was a snowstorm, 1983, January 17th. And
Like, literally nobody cares. Can you get to the
from
faith
then
part?
on, I
Oh, what are you
decided.
talking about?
From then on,
gives a shit?
right away, as soon as I came out, I said, "Fuck this Jesus shit."
Oh, really?
That's not true. Like, literally, none of that's true.
Okay, no, my parents.
The snowstorm thing is probably very realistic.
Oh yeah, it is
Possibly,
true.
yes.
My parents had differing views on religion. My mother brought up, I want to say, Presbyterian, and my dad was definitely Roman Catholic. But they didn't necessarily agree on bringing us to church every Sunday, what church to bring us to, etc. I think the both of them had sort of lost their faith, but sort of like weren't necessarily regular churchgoers. So it's not, I don't want to paint the picture that they just didn't agree and therefore we didn't go to church. But we only went to church if, let's say, a friend of mine was having communion or it was Easter Sunday.
Sure.
Special occasions.
Yeah.
Special occasions.
You
So
were,
I wasn't
Catholic light.
I wasn't a stranger to the church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. We were the same way.
Yeah.
Catholic light. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I grew up down the street from a Roman Catholic church, so I'd been there plenty of times, just not as a regular goer. And I don't know. I guess I just formed my own opinions and thought that I was a spiritual person in some sort of way, but I never wanted to say, okay, this is the answer, and therefore all of you are incorrect.
And that's a big problem of mine as well. I get
guess
you. I get
at
you.
an early age, I decided, okay, so you have Jews and you have Christians and you have whatever else, because I was too young to know, to be educated. I didn't know anything else. Who's to say that, like, you're right and they're wrong?
There are literally scriptures that talk about the pride coming before the fall. And they get really big into how, like, pride is almost the number one sin. Like, if you really think about everything, right? Like, if you cheat on your wife or if you know, whatever they would deem to be bad, it's because of pride, right? Because you felt you were more important than the situation, right? And it's hilarious to me because the biggest pride in the whole thing is the fact that they think they have it all figured out.
Yeah, boom.
Right?
Burn.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Well,
Really just burn.
I wrote a college paper on pride and comparing two different movies, Born on the 4th of July and Patton.
Yeah.
Great
And
movies.
how pride actually was the downfall of both of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's this self-awareness of like, wait. How do I have the answers?
Yep.
How the fuck would I know? The universe is so vast and unexplained, and here we are trying to create answers to it
Yep.
to make us feel better. And at an early age, I could see, like, okay, well, how do Christians seriously sit there and go, okay, all Jews and Muslims and Hindus, etc., are wrong?
Exactly.
No, we have the answer. This is it.
Yep.
Whereas the other religions are going, actually, we're right. You guys are wrong.
Yeah.
That's like I'm taking a gamble. Choose the right one.
Yeah. And
Or are you
that's-
going to
yeah.
die and go to hell?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I know? Seems so ridiculous.
Religions out there that have actually bigger followings than Christianity pretty much normally has, okay, statistically, right?
Right.
Like you think about Buddhism or whatever the case may be. Religions that have followings that are as big as Christianity, right? And then Christianity branches off into all these different things. So really it's almost like a bunch of different religions, right?
Right.
But then you have some religions that are so like vast in how many people follow it.
Right.
Why are they wrong?
Right.
Why do they have a bigger following, but they're just wrong?
Yeah,
Like, we figured it out.
Islam has far more
Yeah.
followers than
Yeah.
Christianity. Far
Yeah,
more.
Yeah.
at this point, for sure.
So if we're gonna go on a popular opinion, or if we take a vote, I guess
Yeah.
we better start worshiping Allah.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's kind of what I felt like as a kid. Like, okay, well, you say you're right, and they say they're right, and like I don't want to have to pick sides, and I don't know. It just I also looked at church as sort of a chore.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and
Really
I did
is.
not like chores.
The funny thing about that, though, is that in my born again days, I would have told you,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised at some point if I did in high school.
Right.
But I would have told you the reason why you look at it as a chore is because you're not following it. You deem yourself to be a Catholic because you were born into it. It's almost Catholicism to a degree is almost like an ethnicity if you think about it.
Yeah.
I was born Catholic, like I was born African American, I was
Yeah.
born Indian, I was born, whatever, Chinese, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's almost like what a lot of Catholics who claim to be Catholic, really, that's where they get it from is,
Yeah.
well, I was born and my parents told me that we were a Catholic family.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Not any real practice, because if you really
Jim
practice the
Gaffigan,
Catholic...
6 kids Catholic.
Right. If you really practice Catholicism, you would be going to church regularly.
On a regular basis,
Not
yeah.
even just one day a week. You'd be going to Mass all the time. You would be
Yeah.
heavily involved. And yet so many Catholics, it's like this, well, we're Catholic because that's all we've ever known. Right?
Yeah.
So I would have argued with you back then, well, if you come to my church, you're not going to feel like it's a chore because it's fun. And we sing with guitars and drums, and it's not this weird hymnal and playing organs and fucking weird sounding music.
A didgeridoo.
Yeah, people that probably at some point in their
Yeah.
lives wanted to sing for a living and were terrible, so they ended up in a Catholic church.
Well
Right?
said.
Well,
Right?
there's-
So
Holy, shut that bitch up.
There's an old joke about a Catholic church, and these 2 priests were living/working there, and they had these problem with these birds out front, and the birds kept shitting on all the cars and like hanging out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So they were a nuisance. So the one priest says, "All right, let's try some loud noises." Didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. That didn't work either. Eventually, they give up. Right. The one priest goes home, comes back the next day. All the birds are gone. He says to the other priest, "How did you get them to go away?" I baptized them.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. You're a part of the church as a kid, let's say, you get baptized like a lot of Roman Catholics were, and then they grow up just like you and start thinking for themselves.
Yeah.
This is not me.
Well, George Carlin said it best when he said, I don't know if you listened to any of George Carlin.
I mean, I know who he is. I've definitely heard him before, but I couldn't quote him.
I would love, based on this conversation today, if you could do me a favor.
Yeah.
Look up George Carlin and his views on religion.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
And,
I would love to.
He talks a lot about how one of my favorite things he says is, "You mean to tell me that there's a place that says if you do the wrong thing, you're going to a place with fire and brimstone and this and that, and you're going to die and you're going to be there for eternity. But we love you. And we need your money." and
It's all a business, man. That's really what it is.
It's the biggest business out there.
It is.
And he said, I was a Catholic until I reached the age of reason. And that's what he always says, until I reached the age of reason.
See, as a born again Christian, we called it the age of accountability. And so what it was that we came up almost by ourselves, because it's not mentioned anywhere in scriptures, with this age. Now, we didn't define the age, but it was more of or less of like when you can actually start reasoning and start
Yeah.
making your own decisions
Yeah.
beyond the 3-4-year-old
Yeah.
like natural way of thinking. It's actually being defiant. It's actually knowing that you're doing something wrong and still choosing to do it. That's when you had to become saved. If you died before a certain age, in my world, it was. So it's funny. Like we could go on to so many different tangents. You think about things like abortion and whatever. The friend that I told you that I smoked weed with for the first time, that I'm actually really close with.
Yeah.
He got into a Facebook debate a couple months ago with people that are still practicing, believing, whatever.
Yeah.
And the argument simply was, if the road is so narrow,
Yeah.
of who gets to spend eternity with Christ and God and the Holy Spirit, whatever.
Sounds boring, but okay.
Yeah.
Right. You just sit on your knees the whole time and just say thank you. I guess. I don't know.
Fuck
Weird.
that.
Yeah, weird. So, yeah. So he got into this debate of like, I understand why you think abortion is wrong because you think a life is being killed.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you welcome it? Like, if you think about the statistics of people based on that belief system that actually end up living an eternal life in glory, as they would say.
Right.
If you think of it that way, and you think there's a cutoff age of some kind in your early prepubescent years of 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, whenever you think that is, wouldn't you want your children to die before there was that risk? Because the chances are so fucking low
Yeah.
that you're going to end up believing the way we want you to believe.
Right.
The chances are so goddamn low.
I'm all for child
That
death.
wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't
Yeah.
you? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be kind of like, it sucks they killed a life, but at least they're in heaven forever at this point? Like,
No
Well, yeah.
shit, right?
And
I mean,
that-
we should sell.
This kid got to skip all the bullshit and go right to heaven.
Yeah, and it was like, it goes back. You ever see the movie with Dane Cook? My favorite Dane Cook movie, one of my favorite comedies, My Best Friend's Girl.
It's an ironic statement.
No, it's actually a great movie. My Best Friend's Girl. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's fucking hysterical. When he takes her to Jesus Christ, the pizza place. And he takes a super religious girl there because his whole MO is that you have, let's say you and your wife, things are on the rocks and your wife leaves you, right? You hire this guy to go on her first date since you, and he just makes the date terrible so she comes running back to you, right? That's the whole premise of the movie. And
good
Dane
strategy.
Cook plays that guy. So there's this like little religious girl who leaves her husband, and he's like, dude, you got to help me. So he gives him like $500. He takes her out on her first date. They start at the strip club, then they go to Jesus Christ. She's really religious. She's like, oh my God. And the waitress, who's like covered in tattoos and piercings, goes, well, if you were pro-choice, I wouldn't be here claiming against your religion.
Oh man.
Like, that line always stuck with me. I was like, wow, that is quite the point there. If you were just pro-choice.
But isn't it weird? Isn't it
Yeah,
weird?
no, you're right.
It's funny that, but if you have someone that's really, really deeply rooted, these things that you say to them, it just turns into a God's ways are not our ways type of debate, and that's why you can't. That's why it's not worth the time, right? Like, there was a time I talk about my brother and how he started thinking in a different way. While I know to this day he still has his beliefs and stuff, he's way more accepted. So the funny thing is he wasn't accepted. There was a point in our lives where he started thinking, where he was really rigid about the things he was starting to believe, where almost he was like not accepting me. So we went through this like ebb and flow of, but we were always close.
Yeah.
But it is funny to me that it's so limited to how many people get to experience an eternal life that's not in some fire pit.
Oh, yeah, and the Jehovah's
so
Witnesses,
limited.
man. The Jehovah's Witnesses, there is a finite number of people that are allowed to be there, and they already have more followers than the finite people that are allowed to go to heaven,
they're supposed
right?
to stick to.
So I have my uncles, and we're at a family gathering one time, and I have one uncle that he claims the Bible, yet he likes to drink, and he likes to get crazy and do whatever, and comment on women and their parts, and
The ones that
He
seem
likes-
to get most diehard into a religion are the ones that had the craziest fucking lives before they.
well, no, he still has
Right?
this crazy life, but then quotes the Bible. Okay, he was the one who said that Obama is a terrible president. One only reason, because he's black and he'll never follow a black man.
Do you know that every Democratic president that we get for the rest of time, in a born again Christian's mind, is very much potentially the Antichrist?
Which is why I can't.
That's actually true. That's true.
But like, don't
That's
take this
true.
offensively. That's why when someone says to me, when someone says to me,
Dan,
I'm a
that's
born
actually
again.
true.
I
I'm
know.
serious, like Obama, I
That's
remember
why
in
it's
his first
funny.
term, which,
Yeah.
by the way, I don't mind admitting, I voted for Obama. Oh my God,
my
if I had
God.
told the church that.
Oh my God!
You
So did
voted for a
I.
Negro?
This is why.
How dare you.
I'll tell you one thing I wish I was still heavily involved in the church.
Just so that you could say
Just
these
because
things.
I would love to see what they say about Trump.
Yeah.
Right?
God.
Like,
Well, he's
what
the savior.
Christian, but he's a Republican president. So what Christian is really going to go so far to be like, he's a good president? He's exactly who we need right now.
They
well,
can
they're
trick
blind
themselves
enough.
into thinking anything, can't
Right.
they?
Yeah, I mean, they're
But
blind
just so you
enough.
know, Dan, every Democratic president that comes along, there are a group of a sect of people out there that think that this could be the end of time.
Well, Jimmy Carter has a tail.
with the
It's just, but
reptilian.
But like I was saying though, so I have my one uncle who's like, he claims the Bible and just like, the Bible, but then says that Obama's the N-word and that he's a bad president simply because he's black. Then I have my other uncle he's quiet, he's more pensive, and good guy, just a little weird. But whatever, what have you.
More
And
like you.
He's talking. No, that's not true at all. I'm not quiet, nor am I pensive. I don't think about
You
anything.
are a
I
little
do.
weird though.
Very weird. Please don't get that. Don't get that wrong.
Confused. Okay.
So we're at a family gathering, and he's like, I'm myself and the wife been thinking about joining the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh,
Why?
And my other uncle, the one who claims the Bible and is a heavy drinker and everything, starts laughing at him. This is his younger brother, and he's like, "Well, and I'm making the number up because I don't know the number. Oh, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they will allow about 1,200 people in, and there's like 4,000 Jehovah's Witnesses." So good luck to you. You're already damning yourselves. I don't fucking have any idea why you want to do something so stupid for, like in front of the whole family.
yeah. Why are you yelling?
Well, because I'm accentuating the story. I'm sorry. Is it too much for your little pussy ears?
No, you're breaking the microphone, but that's fine.
Fuck the microphone. I will fuck this microphone. Anyway,
It didn't make sense, but okay.
so no, it didn't make sense at all.
I'd fuck the microphone too, because when we first got here, if you guys could picture where we are right now,
Oh, I know.
it's kind of like a sex slave torture area.
Yeah.
The only thing.
What do you mean, kind of?
Chains.
The only thing. I mean, there's hanging oil, right, for rub downs. There are dead plants,
Yeah.
if I must say so.
Yeah.
There's weird wires in certain spots.
Yep.
A
Yeah.
random hat.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather was a pack rat.
But the only thing that looks of worth down here are these mics.
Yeah.
Fuckable mics.
Fuckable mics, I
Yeah.
guess.
supple
They
mics.
are.
But anyway, I think that shit is so funny. So like, you'll blindly believe in a religion that already excludes you before you even start.
Right.
Like, why? And I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna throw it out there. Feel free to be angry with me, America. Indoctrinating your child into a religion is child abuse, and I will believe that. I will. I'm
so true.
Yeah, it's
thank
true,
you.
though.
Thank
To an
you.
extent. But
No,
here's
not to an
here's
extent.
the rub.
I believe it.
The silver lining, if you look at someone like Legs,
Here we go.
although he was in his terms involved in a cult.
Or cultish. Yeah, cult. Sure. Yeah.
See, I wouldn't
Yeah.
even go that far.
It was a cult. I would. He would.
Yeah.
The silver lining to me is that it helped shape a quality human being
Absolutely.
with values,
And I appreciate that, but
morals.
you're right.
And when I was younger, and he and I were hanging out in high school, sitting next to each other, and he talked to me here and there about Christ, I was open-minded about it.
I'm going to disagree with you completely, though.
Well, I know you are, because you're a piece of shit.
No, not at all. No. He was a quality person inside of himself. He didn't need. He had that as a vessel, the Jesus, the God, this other shit. But you have to be that inside yourself already.
We can't. You're right.
Okay,
but
wait.
To a certain extent, we
but there's
can't.
influences, right? So I've thought a lot about going into you guys inviting me to be here, and I thought to myself, like, what am I to expect, and what are we going to talk about? And so, again, I can't help but go back to the influence that was my father, talking about how you wouldn't want to regret anything and whatever. Who knows? Who knows what I would have really been based? Because if I was able to be that influenced then, what if my life, instead of going down a born again Christian route, was more of a gothic, like sadistic type of route because my parents were like non-existent. Like you think about, you hear about kids that go into foster care that are constantly abused and how they end up. And honestly, a lot of my thoughts when I'm smoking probably more marijuana than I should on some nights, some of my really deep thoughts, as fucked up as this, never too much. Some of my really deep thoughts, when as fucked up as it might sound, during some of those moments, that like if I ever even think back to that time in my life, and when I think about, is there a God or a higher being or whatever, is there a purpose to what we do? A lot of my response is I don't know what I believe, but I think about kids who are born into a world where they're abused, killed at an early age. Never would they have come close to having any reasonable thought, like of what's going on around them, like understanding anything that we would consider logical. I mean, we're talking 3-4 years old. You read terrible news stories about 1-year-olds who are left in a car, whatever the case may be, right? They didn't choose that. They didn't choose to be here. That was based on what they were born into and what their influences are. And those are the kind of things that get me really questioning things, because I'm like, nobody on the face of the planet could tell me the purpose of that shit. Like, why am I
because their answer is God works in mysterious ways.
Right,
That's
but
their
this
answer.
is the other thing that bothers me. This is where we go back to the pride conversation of what's so crazy about the pride is that I was born in America to a blue-collar family.
A white male.
I was not poor by any stretch of the words, even to today's standards.
Right.
I was not in your, Victor $300,000 house.
Right.
To
Yeah.
what might be deemed as more of like the wealthy family.
An affluent.
But, I went through living in a nice townhouse when I was a kid to my dad's house. And,
Yeah.
like, I lived a very normal white American lifestyle from the
comfortable.
time I was
Yeah.
born to right now. And I consider myself successful now. And I look at all these things and I'm like, why me? And it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, somebody died, but I didn't, and I was in that situation, and why did they have to die, and why me? But I'm saying, like, I think to myself, like, okay, this is why I doubt stuff, because there's no explanation
Yeah.
to this day of why I get to be so privileged, but why somebody else is born into a starving culture that dies before they have any kind of reasonable thought.
It was God's
because
will.
they can't even eat, right? So that's
Exactly.
the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, for us to sit here and think we have all the answers,
Yeah.
if you can't explain something
Yeah.
like that, there's nothing to be explained.
Well, that's very true. I mean, I can't. There's nothing.
But they try to. The
Well,
church
try to.
always
But
tries to
you know what the
explain it.
church's explanation is for
Yeah,
that, right?
God works in mysterious ways.
But not just mysterious ways, it's because of sin. They think that sin bred about this world of, well, that's because sin exists in the world, and because of sin, that's where disease comes from. That's why
Right.
my dad died of ALS, maybe it wasn't his sin, but that disease is here because of sin.
Yeah.
And everything's in result of because, Adam and Eve ate the fruit, and that was sin, and that was it. Like, that was the end,
Yeah.
and now everything is possible to go bad because of some bitch eating some fruit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's some bitch always ruins it.
Always.
But
And food, man. Talk about an influence.
something you said though about us, about all of us being here, reminded me of a quote from one of my favorite shows. And I know, Dan, you've seen this. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
I have. So you keep asking me all these amazing questions because of how it relates.
Do not fluff his ego.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have some distinct memories of when I first started smoking with my buddies of watching certain things like, what's that Netflix series that's like Twilight Zone, but it's like a modern age.
the Oculus. Oh no, not
no.
Oculus. I've seen the first 3
Black
episodes.
Mirror.
Black
Black Mirror. Yeah.
I've watched them all,
Yeah.
and many times while completely stoned.
Yeah, of course.
And
of
it
course.
was so awesome.
Yeah.
Like really, really good television to watch, right? Like
Yeah.
really smart writing. So Rick and Morty, so just funny shit. Like when you smoke, things tend to be quite a bit funnier.
Yeah, or
obviously,
deeper,
right? Like deeper or funnier.
yeah.
Depends on the moment.
Or both.
The situation. Or
Like
both.
Rick and
right,
Morty.
sure. Rick and Morty, I've not gotten into it to a degree where I could really quote anything, tell you what episode was what. But in some of those moments where I'm over my buddy's house, I've watched probably 3 or 4 episodes, and it's great show.
Definitely. And something you said about us being here reminded me of a quote, and I actually looked the quote up because I wanted to make sure I didn't quote it incorrectly. And the episode had to do with Rick gets interdimensional cable, which is cable.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Okay.
And they're all these different channels from all over the
Dimensions and universes.
all over dimensions and universes, and they skip through a channel where Rick's son-in-law, so his daughter's husband, is a movie star. And they're like, oh, wait, go back there. And they're like, well, in a certain life, in a certain time, if you didn't have your daughter on accident, you would have been a movie star. And it turns out that Rick's daughter would have been one of the foremost surgeons in the world. And they would have been incredibly popular, incredibly happy, this and that, because they didn't have their daughter. So their daughter's now going through this rough time, saying to herself, oh my God, so my parents' life would be better if I didn't exist, if I wasn't here. That's what I'm feeling. And she's going through all these emotional trials and tribulations within herself. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Because every time they go back to a possibility where their daughter's born, well, if they go to the possibility where their daughter isn't born, he's a movie star, she's a surgeon. Every time they go to a possibility where she is born, they're just at home playing Yahtzee. Like every single time it goes back to that. They're like, well, Yahtzee's fun, So finally, her younger brother, Morty, says to her, and has the best quote, and he says, Summer, he says, nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's going to die. Come watch TV. And that, to me, resonated as none of us are here by our own choosing.
As far as we know.
Well,
Right? So you can get crazy and say things like, well, maybe my memory was wiped before I got... people believe some weird things. But as far as we know, we didn't choose to be here.
True. We didn't choose to be here. And none of us really have a specific place where we belong. We just find those that have the most common of interest, and we cling to that, and we do what we can to cultivate that and continue to. And, we're all going to die. That's the inevitability.
Yep.
Everyone is going to die. And the last thing he says is, come watch TV. And, people are like, well, TV's... Well, think a little deeper than that.
They're missing the point.
Just enjoy.
Yeah.
Just enjoy life while
Just
we're
take a
here.
load off.
You want to sit here and you want to spend your life defining where we came from and what we're doing. And God said this and Jesus said that. And you want to take all of this time, which I consider wasted. It's wasted time to do that, to pray to someone, to worship someone that you don't even know if they're real or if they're not real. One of the biggest reasons why I lost my faith is the unanswered prayers. And the only prayer where I ever, because you're brought up, don't just pray to ask for things. Pray to say thank you. And I always prayed to say thank you. And I always thanked God and Jesus and always thanked them for this shit. My parents got divorced. I was 10. I had 10 years of my life with my parents together.
Yeah.
And my prayers, all they became was, don't let mom and dad, separate. Don't let dad leave. Don't let this happen. Nobody was listening.
Nope.
And that, was I think the first thing that got me to that point of, this is all bullshit. This is all complete fucking horseshit. Because if God was real, he wouldn't let this happen. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is stop wasting your time with this God, Jesus, all this other stuff. Just enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And be the best person you can possibly be. Don't willingly inflict harm on someone. Only inflict harm on someone if they intend to inflict harm on you and your family. Don't lie to someone unless it's a lie to make them feel better. I'm sorry, but
Is this the Church of Rockness?
that's right. Don't cheat.
He's making up his own rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't.
Do we have any tablets anywhere?
There you go. If you can etch these on a tablet, and then 1,000 years from now, people are like, Rockness, holy, holy Rockness. Well, the Rockness said,
The
no, the
sad
Rockness
state of
said.
affairs the
but
world would be in there.
You know
The
what?
sad state of affairs is that's pretty accurate as to how it went down.
Exactly. I guess what I'm saying is, just to conclude my thought is, while we're here, just watch TV and enjoy life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mindlessly drone on.
That's, you know what I mean, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Well, praise be to Allah.
So it's funny you talk about enjoying life and you talked about self-awareness and whatever have you. A big part of the story I left out was I got very used to I'm a dad, I have 3 kids, I'm in bed by 9:30 every night, and I was never to the stretch of the term obese as, like, when you hear obese, you think extremely fat.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like, honestly, that's what you think when you hear obese. I was definitely overweight, but I would get the comments maybe once in a while if I asked about it of, you carry it well. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah, right? So,
Like Rockness, your ex-girlfriends did not carry it well.
part of this, like I said, a lot of...
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Anyways.
Part of this self-awareness I feel like I came into with this whole what have you midlife crisis. I actually lost about 50 to 60 pounds over the last couple of years. Stopped with I used to drink soda all the time, like that was but again,
cut that right
what
out.
I'm getting at is, like, I really accepted that this was my life now and this was just who I was.
Yeah.
I was defined by this, and I'm this dad now, and I have 3 kids, and that's all it's ever really going to be. And like I said, I pride myself as to being a great father. I pride myself as to being a great husband. But I'm still an individual, and it's not what defines me. There are parts of my life that are really important to me.
Yep.
But I am happier. I have better sex, to be honest with you, than ever.
Hell yeah.
I have just what I would consider a great and successful life. But it's funny, I actually think a lot about the way Thomas Jefferson worded it, and even in the Declaration of Independence, it's
Okay.
the pursuit of happiness,
Yep.
right? It's not just happiness, it's a pursuit of it. So how does that define you? It's different for every motherfucker on the planet, right? Some people are happy blowing people up.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. I don't agree with it, but
Yeah.
that's their happiness. What am I supposed to do about that, right? It's tough to interject in something like that.
Yeah.
And my point of saying that is everybody is born culturally into whatever they're born into without choice, right? So it sucks. It sucks that some people are born in a way that they're taught that and it's a religious thing. Islam, we talked about it before, right? There are people, I'm not saying Islam as a whole, I'm saying there are people out there that are born and bred that this is the way of life. And for me to say that they have, for me not, what chance did they have? What chance did they have to follow the God that I used to follow? What chance did they have to accept this Christ in their life as their savior when they've never even fucking heard of the guy?
Right. How is it their fault?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? How is
To
it
say
their
that
fault?
they're going to hell.
To say that they're going to burn forever when it was outside of their choice.
Yep.
How is that fair?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like so ridiculous.
So ridiculous. And it's so simple to think that way, and yet somehow...
They're
Yeah.
just trying to be good people. That's all
Right.
that.
and
That's
that's
all
all
I
that
was
that's
saying.
all it should come
And
down
they're
to.
trying to impress their fathers.
Right.
Really, right? Like, that's kind of... culturally, that's...
Or they're just being taught to fear God.
Yeah.
Whatever their God was, and therefore that's the okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we can easily solve Israel and Palestine, though, and I can solve it right now.
How?
None of it's real. Just, I mean, if they would just listen to me, like, it's not real.
I know.
Someday,
That's the big problem.
Someday
If-
when this podcast, like,
if
blows
Jews and
up,
Muslims could just listen to Rockness.
Could you imagine? They look back on the Rock Nest basement as being the starting point to the solution to all their...
Exactly. Listen, if you're
He
from
dreams of it, I know.
Palestine and if you're from Israel, listen to me, okay? Just hear me out for a second, all right? You're killing children. You're killing men and women. More importantly, the children, because they didn't have a fucking chance. For some invisible man in the sky that you think is there and is
Over
not
a
there.
hunch. It's over a hunch.
It's a complete hunch.
Yep.
It's all a lie. You've been fed a lie, and now you're killing each other over it. How stupid do you feel? Take a second, okay? And if after my words you still think I'm wrong, take that gun that you were planning on bringing into a school and killing. I want you to put the barrel in your mouth, and I want you to pull the trigger repeatedly. And that's it. Instead of taking that gun into a school and killing a bunch of kids because they believe in a different invisible man than you, I want you to turn the gun on yourself and I want you to end your life.
Or woman. We should be inclusive.
Or you're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's just how I feel. It's that simple.
Yeah.
There's no reason to bring a gun into a school and kill a bunch of kids because they believe in a different God than you. In fact, go fuck yourself. You're a coward, and I hope you get raped. Moving
Okay,
on.
so Rockness, you got
Wow.
to say got to say what you believe today.
Yes, please.
Dan, what do you believe today?
Yes.
That Carlin is God? I don't know.
Carlin? George Carlin?
No, I'm just kidding. What I'm
I mean, I don't disagree.
with a gun to my head, if someone were to say, what is it? What's the answer? Who is God? Is there God? My fluffiest, nicest answer would be that God is literally everything good that we can do as humans. God is a potential. God is a relationship between you and I and everything that could happen in a positive way. And the devil would be anything that would be negative in any sort of way.
Sure.
So if you want to put things into lightness and darkness and truth and lies, the truth and the light and the way is paved in being good to one another
I like it.
and in acceptance of one another and moving forward.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with science. There is no right and wrong. There is no fact as far as your belief or God. It's just a feeling. And to sit here and try and define how the world was created through God or an afterlife, it's just like, why?
Yep.
Just all you have right now is this life and this moment.
Yep.
So if you have that opportunity, then make the most of it by being good to one another.
Yeah.
And hey, if there's an afterlife, hopefully that God or gods can let you in through those pearly gates because you tried to be a good person.
Sure.
And if there isn't, well, at least you were good to one another while you lived.
Yeah. Made the most of your time.
You know, we cannot constantly sit here and debate. Oh, does this exist? Does that exist? But the Shroud of Turin this, and then he fucked the guy up the ass with a wine bottle. That's what happened, right?
I'm pretty sure that's the exact story.
Why? Why? We don't know. We
paraphrasing,
weren't
but,
there. The Bible was translated thousands of times from hundreds of different dead
that's a
languages
whole nother subject.
by different people and monks.
Different
who
books
did,
being
it's like,
removed.
What?
And
And,
what
then
was
King
their
James comes
motivation?
along and he's like, hey, you know what? All that shit, let's just rewrite it based on what I think.
But what was their motivation? I mean, typically the answer is money, right?
Right. Control,
Sure.
dominance,
Control, dominance,
economic
power, whatever the case may be.
You
Sure.
ever see the movie The Book of Eli?
Oh my God, it's actually a great film.
It was a good movie.
Denzel.
It was a good movie.
Again, you're just knocking him out of the
Denzel.
park with me. Denzel Washington is my favorite actor of all time.
What?
I'm serious.
Come
I'm
on.
dead
Are you
ass.
serious? He's an amazingly
Yeah,
gifted
what-
actor.
That
How is
reaction
He's
makes
not-
me lose respect for you.
He's not my favorite, but I can understand why he's his favorite
He's
or anyone's
a
for that matter.
fantastic actor.
Come on.
Listen, he's a Bible believing Christian.
That's like saying
How
Dan
dare
Cook is
you.
the greatest comic.
Okay, that's not true,
that
though.
is
But
bullshit.
that's not, but
Dane
that's not
Cook
actually
isn't
true.
even close. Nobody, I've never known anybody to say that Dane Cook is the best comic ever.
You love Dan Cook.
Loving a guy is
liked
different
his
than saying
first
he's
special.
the best.
Okay, no.
The best at his craft, right? Like
Let me
I just
backtrack.
think,
George Carlin.
I think when you look at Denzel's body of work and you see some of
The
his
exact
movies,
same character over and over again?
I understand that argument.
He plays
and
it well.
He plays it very well, sure, but he also has played other characters.
The Equalizer.
Think of a guy
Yes.
like Tom Hanks. You can play to be almost like it's not Tom Hanks. He plays so many vast array of characters, right?
He didn't go full
Denzel
retard.
Washington has done movies that were not him being a cop or a military guy of some kind. I know that's the general like body of work that he has, but he's a fucking awesome actor.
I
And a really
feel
cool guy.
like he's good at a select few parts.
You haven't seen enough Denzel Washington movies.
I've
Yeah, you
seen
need
enough to know that he plays a lot of the time just a dominating character
Sure.
who isn't wrong.
Who would you define as a top actor?
Find me a role that Denzel has played with humility where he is wrong about something.
I mean,
Every character he ever plays, what he says is right. And
Because-
that's the end of it.
well, Man on Fire, a little girl was kidnapped and possibly raped, and he wanted to kill everyone involved.
Yeah.
So I'm going to agree with him.
Yep.
Equalizer.
Oh,
just,
I mean,
her
Training,
was
training
as a
Day is the
human
one he won the
being-
award for, and he was a scumbag in that. He was
Yeah,
wrong. He got
he was-
killed.
Which ones?
Training Day.
Training Day.
He was a huge scumbag in that movie.
Yeah.
Huge scumbag. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I don't know. I just
Okay,
feel like
anyways,
his
Book
ego
of Eli.
drives
Let's get back
those
to that.
movies.
Book of Eli,
Book of
great
Eli.
film. Guys, well, I mean, should we give it away here? I mean, the guy. Look,
If you haven't seen Book of
disclaimer,
Eli,
shut us off
fuck
now.
you.
Right, whatever. You're right, exactly.
Dumbledore
Guy's
dies.
blind the whole time. Interesting story. But what I loved about it was instead of preaching even something specific, it was more to be like it's everything. It was everything. He was basically holding the good of the world in his hands. It really wasn't just the Bible, right? Because once he got to the Promised Land, it was the Quran. It was like all the good books.
Correct.
All the things that taught us to be good in the world.
Well, what
We
I
have
loved
to,
was
we have to protect
Gary,
those things that we hold true.
Gary
Correct.
Oldman's character. Have you seen the Book of Eli, right?
Yes.
Gary Oldman's character, he knew Gary Oldman wanted the Bible, wanted those teachings for a method of control.
Exactly.
And he would not allow those words to be used again because that's thusly what is going to end the world.
Sure.
Is those people using it as a method of control. And when he finally got to the quote unquote promised land, and he gave those works, in an understanding that this isn't to be used for control. This is to be used for inspiration. There's so many terrible things in the Bible. There's so many terrible things in the Quran. There's so many terrible things in the Torah. But there are also very inspirational stories. And the moment
Absolutely.
people can say, these are stories, these are just stories for you to say, oh, that's very inspirational. Then there you go. Not to be taken literally. Like it was Evan Almighty. When Morgan Freeman played God. You've seen Evan and Almighty?
Of course.
And at the end, he said, sometimes it's about interpretation. And he takes the word ark, and he spells A-R-K, and he says, act of random kindness. Instead of taking things so literal, let's take it metaphorically and maybe just live by that metaphor.
Sure.
And that mind blown right there from someone who doesn't believe in the Bible at all.
Heaven Almighty, that's what it took to blow your mind.
You just gotta be a fucking cunt. You're a cunt.
Yikes.
Is really just to say.
You know,
That's what it took.
That
Heaven Almighty.
word that he just used is rarely in my vocabulary, but I do agree in this.
Heaven Almighty, the sequel to a not so great film. Anyways,
Oh, with your butt buddy Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
You would fuck Jim Carrey. No, you would let Jim Carrey fuck you.
and I have.
Okay, well there you go.
I gotta pee. Why don't we have some pee breaks and then we'll come back and wrap it up and fuck yous maybe.
Yeah, let's come back. Let's succinctly bring in, religion. Let's
No.
conclude it, and then let's get in our fuck yous, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll be right back.
Oh, I do have to piss again.
Critical Mass can now be found at the 8o'clockstop.com. That's the 8o'clockstop.com. We're there with the Hypothetically Speaking podcast, as well as 3 Dicks Picks podcast. Check us out there. That's the 8o'clockstop.com, because everything starts at 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you for taking that out of me. We're back, and we are we're still talking about religion and God, but we're gonna wrap it up soon here. We're gonna talk about our fuck yous, and then we're gonna go on with our lives.
Yeah, we are.
But a final thought, a sort of a Jerry Springer final thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For me personally,
Okay.
I think no matter what your belief in, it doesn't matter if it's religion or not. If you take something too seriously, if you want to follow it to a degree that it negates everything else in your life, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice and the people around you. I think being open to change, being open to different possibilities is the only way to move forward. Otherwise, you're locked in a cage.
I can definitely agree with that.
Rockness.
I guess
you're welcome.
my conclusion is simply this. Use your brain. There's only one race, and that is the human race. We're all in this together. And if you're going to sit there and waste your time with religion, please keep it to yourself. Please keep it holy in your home and leave the rest of us alone. Enjoy your life and do everything that you can to be a good person and to just enjoy life, because you only get one, and that's it. That's all I have to say.
I fell asleep
Lags?
again. I am so sorry.
Legs, what do you want? Your story today was to me was very important, I think. What do you want the takeaway to be to our listeners? What do you want the takeaway to be before we get into our fuck yous?
Your son Ezekiel comes to you and says, "Daddy, what is God?"
So I just looked up. I looked like I was being incredibly rude, which typically most of my life
That's
I am
okay.
this
My
way
co-host
because
here
of
was also
being-
on his phone. That's
being
cool.
on the phone, and it's part of what I do for a living. But I definitely take it to that next level where I'm trying to control it. You could call my phone a religion at this point, actually.
Dan's like an autistic kid that perseverates on these different things all the time. Like, he's always on his phone. He's like, park the car on Sundays. I park the car on Sundays.
If I may quote,
Nice try.
the late great Prince.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
In one of his songs, and something that he would say sometimes, like in his concerts, it says, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life."
Yeah, that's true.
And
Absolutely.
even musically, when I was a Christian, it was all Christian music. Like I
remember
We
that.
considered anything but right? You remember, right? So anything besides Christian music was considered secular music, and you weren't supposed to listen to it.
Oh my god.
Right.
So I'm not gonna lie, that Prince quote that I just gave was something I heard probably for the first time a couple years ago.
Damn.
Not that I had never heard his songs
Yeah.
per se, but I never thought of them or thought of that particular lyric or like heard him say it. As
And you
like
were high when he's
Yes.
yes,
Right.
so it
exactly.
just like
of
boom.
course. Always.
Yeah.
So okay. What is God? So I think there are too many things that we deem to be incredibly important. Love, sex, those kind of things that they're so natural and so important that for them to have been only something based off of nature with nothing else existing as any kind of power behind it almost seems harder to believe than believing that there's some kind of reason, right?
Sure.
And I'm not even saying like a daily reason. I'm not saying everything happens for a reason. I think that there are things that happen in our lives sometimes that you're like, holy shit, like if XYZ didn't happen, then this absolute like crossroads that I hit wouldn't have taken place. I wouldn't be who I am today because whatever you look back on in your life. So what do I believe? I have no fucking clue. And that's what I love about it, to be honest with you, because it keeps me thinking. It keeps me wondering, which I think is important for people. It keeps me hoping. It keeps me doubting all at once. And that's the irony of life. Like, who the hell knows? But I will say that if I was a betting man, which I'm not a big gambler, but if I was a betting man and I had to put it all on the line, I would err on the side of we came from somewhere. Not just a Big Bang, not just... Because even that in of itself, like we could go on for a few more hours talking about this shit, days for that matter. I don't know. And even the best of scientists will have a theory, and then 50 years later, that theory is uprooted and changed. And because of that, because there's so many different religions, because there's so many different ways and opinions and thoughts, progressively as humans, let's just keep trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Peacefully, lovingly, and together. And as long as that's what we're striving for, then I don't really care that much about anything else except to say, you know, let's get through this thing that we call life together. You know, that's about it.
We'll find out at the end.
I mean,
Exactly.
we might.
That is the one thing we all have in common is that we all die and we'll all find out one way or another.
Right.
Well, they say when you die, I believe there's a Lance would know this. There's a chemical in your head that is only a chemical in your brain that is only released upon death.
Yep. They actually they equate that to the experiences on narcotics of dopamine releasing in your brain, right? Like it's supposed to be a similar experience. I've done the research to a degree. I
can't remember what
I'm not
the
a whiz by
chemical's
any
called,
means,
though.
but I've looked up the near death experience stuff because coming out of something like that, you obviously start thinking to yourself, well, okay, then if not that, you start having those thoughts of, well, what do other people think? Well, you know, and you read about that stuff. So there's near death experiences where they talk about.
Correct.
There are scientists out there that don't believe in Jesus and God and all that, but they believe in an afterlife still.
Yes, well, that's what I guess I'm going along with this chemical that they state. It's only released when you die, and the chemical in your brain is released, and there's some like last synapse kind of firings with that, and they state that could be the afterlife.
A sign, sure.
For us here in the living, that lasts for seconds. But for someone that's dead, that could be an eternity.
Yeah.
And I only hope that when that chemical in your brain is released, that you are in a happy place.
Yeah.
And that's really where all I have to say about that. In the words of Forrest Gump. Anyone else?
Could you repeat that?
Are you serious?
Why don't we start over, actually?
Okay.
Start the whole show over again. All right, we're going to take our last break. We're going to come back with our fuck yous. If you're looking for a refinishing, a sealing, and a protection for your cement services, especially your garage, check out Eagle Epoxy at eagleepoxy.us. They can also be found on Facebook at Eagle Epoxy, or their phone number for a free quote, 585-402-4971. Tell them the Rockness Monster sent you for a free quote. Check them out.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. I just broke a leg.
Again?
I'm sorry, everybody, but I'll continue the show. I will be a trooper, and we will we'll just keep going forward.
Oh, yeah, good. Good. I'm so glad.
No, I'm fine. Let's finish this up. Let's do our fuck yous.
Fuck yous.
Legs, did you have one in the chamber? If not, it's okay. We'll start.
You know, I guess just based on the theme of today, I'll be cliche and just say fuck you to manipulation.
Manipulation.
You know, manipulation is a fuckable concept, and it happens all too often, and a lot of people's lives are ruined because of manipulation in all different types of forms.
I agree.
So fuck you to manipulation.
That's fair.
All right. I'd like to say fuck you to Stacy. I don't know if that's her name. I'll just call her Stacy at Panera Bread.
That's the type of name you would say "fuck you" to.
Yeah.
Stacy. You know,
Yeah,
like
I
it's
don't
like
even
a,
care
fuck
who you
you,
are.
Stacy.
If your name is
Stacy.
Stacy, fuck you.
Yeah, honestly,
You probably deserve it.
nobody names their kids Stacy anymore. I mean, let's be
Right.
honest.
So I was at Panera. I was ordering food for the wife. She was at home, and she said, "Use my mom's name because she has points that add up for her."
Oh, neat.
So I was like, "All right." So by the way, our order is under blah blah blah. So let's just say her name was Terry. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, the order's under Terry. So okay, I'll add these points to Terry's thing.
Yeah, sure.
So I go sit down because I know it's going to be a while before the food's ready.
Of course.
And this is to go order. So I go to the bathroom. I tinkle a little bit. I come back out of the bathroom, and there's some other folks standing around waiting for their food as well. And I hear someone say something about Terry. I don't know who said it, but I was like, Terry?
Yeah.
The food's ready already? So I go up to the window. I go, did you say something about Terry? Is Terry's food's ready? Is it ready to go? Because there's food sitting there. And the woman behind the counter, who would I call her? I called her Stacy, was like, no, I said something. And then one of the other customers was like, I thought you said Terry. No. The woman goes, no. She puts her hand up to me to stop talking. This is the woman behind the counter. Shutting me up with her hand.
I'm glad somebody did it.
And says, I didn't say anything. This order's for Sherry. And I go, oh, okay. I just came out of the bathroom. I thought I heard someone say Terry. She's being totally fucking rude to me, right? And the other customer.
I think I like her. I think I'm growing to like this woman.
No.
Seriously, Dan, if I can give you an answer to your fuck you.
No. Don't put your hand down. Rockness. You're at a restaurant and someone behind the counter puts their fucking hand up to you to stop talking. You'd be so mad.
Oh, I'd be livid.
You'd be calling over the manager.
Oh, I'd call over the manager, and then I would go into this diatribe about how I'm in customer service and how I do it far better than them, and how I could teach everyone about customer service. I did that at Walgreens one time. I got a $100 gift card.
Really?
Yeah, no joke.
But you can't buy a better mic. Okay, what's your nephew?
Wow, buy me a better mic. My fuck you goes to the posers out there. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Okay, I'm at my job, my place of work. Okay, and we get these breaks, these things called breaks. They happen few and far between, where we're able to unchain ourselves from our desk and walk around for a little while. And
So you get a lunch break and then two separate small.
No, we
breaks.
only get one break and then a lunch because I work in a Nazi concentration camp. So anywho, I don't want a Nazi concentration camp. They had it far worse than me.
That's bad timing.
Anyway, that's very bad timing. Very bad timing on that joke. So it's a bad joke. Let's move on. I go outside and I see a guy out there that I've never seen out there, and I use the vape. I use the vaporizer pen.
Constantly, I'm sure.
Not really. I use the vape pen because I like smoking cigarettes. I love smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes are awesome. They make me feel so good. And I don't really care about the people like, oh, I know smoking's bad. So is drinking. So is driving a car without a seatbelt. So is being Dan. These are all bad things.
You notice
Technically true.
You notice though he didn't mention marijuana.
No, well, there's nothing bad about that.
Okay.
Right.
So, I go out there and I see this person vaping, and I am out there to vape myself because I like smoking cigarettes. That's why I vape. I vape because I have a child and I'd like to be around for my child without getting lung cancer. And the studies have shown, from what I've been reading, and the non-fake news, is that it actually lowers your chances of getting lung cancer by 75%. I'll take that. So I go out there and the guy's vaping, and I said, hey, I didn't know you smoked. Congratulations for changing, making this change. Because it is difficult. Smoking to the vape pen is not an easy thing. You fail quite often. I'm up over a year now. Anywho, I say to the guy, I didn't even know you smoke. He goes, oh, I don't smoke. I just like the flavor and I like to blow clouds. Fuck you. fuck you to hell. Okay, I am trying to quit smoking in the best way I know how because the patches don't work, the gum doesn't work, cold turkey doesn't work, and the only thing I found that worked is using the vape pen. I have continuously stepped down my nicotine levels from the highest nicotine level to what I'm at now, which is the lowest nicotine level, and I'm about to go to no nicotine at all. I am doing this because I can't smoke anymore because I need to be around for my family someday. I've already noticed the great health benefits. I've already experienced I can taste food again, which is a huge thing. And you want to tell me that you're using this as a toy, as some kind of like toy to play with. That's not what this is. Okay? There might be a lot of fun fruity flavors, but that's for me. Okay? That's for me and the people that are trying to quit smoking in a way that works. And this works.
Yeah.
Period.
Ironically, to some extent, whenever you come up with a tool to help people wean themselves off of something else, that tool can also be a fun little playground for those who
but
haven't
isn't
had
it
it
these
at all.
ideologies that start religious sects?
Right?
It is.
That's the damn truth. That is the damn truth. So that's my fuck you. Fuck you to people that vape that never had a smoking problem. You're an idiot, and I hate you, and you are a douche.
Yeah.
The level of douchiness knows no bounds. So to conclude today's show, which might be a two-parter.
It's going to have to be 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. This will be a two-parter. So a couple things. First, Lags, I want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time today. Appreciate you being incredibly candid about your story. It was great. Something I really liked hearing and enjoyed, and I think our listeners will enjoy as well. So thank you for that.
Yep.
I want to thank our sponsors. We've got Eagle Epoxy, the 8o'clockstop.com, because everything starts at 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And, Genesee Beard Company to a certain extent. I mean, really, I don't know if they're a sponsor or not. I just hope that they do well at Genesee Beard Company. So check them out.
Hypothetically Speaking
podcast. Great guys. They're on the 8o'clockstop.com. Also, a new podcast they have on there, 3 Dicks Picks.
Oh, wow.
Actually, really funny as well. I took a listen. Great stuff. Good content. So check them out. Lastly, before we go, I do want to say CriticalMass is completely against the neo-Nazi movement in Charlottesville and anywhere else for that matter. Thoughts and prayers go to anyone that was hurt by these neo-Nazis.
But those poor neo-Nazis, they were hurt too.
Yeah, if you're a neo-Nazi and you claim to be a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist, CriticalMass fully accepts your suicide.
Jeez.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck at all. We support those. We are tolerant of all folks, and we are intolerant of only the intolerant.
Except Stacy at Panera Bread.
Except for
Fuck
Stacy.
you.
Well, she's intolerant. She's an intolerant person, so she falls in there.
Right.
So we are only intolerant of the intolerant, violently so.
So we're intolerant of ourselves?
No, I mean, we tolerate everything through our intolerance.
I'm getting lost.
We're intolerant of the intolerant. Like religion today. Religion is an intolerant practice. They exclude folks.
Right.
So we're not tolerant of their intolerance.
Yes. Okay, well.
Is that making sense to you,
It
Dan?
does. It does.
God.
Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a great week. And next week, we have no idea who our guest is. We still have to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll know when you do.
We'll update you. Check us out on Facebook and on YouTube. Appreciate your time. And before we go, do us all a favor and just go outside and punch a Nazi. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, everyone.